Efforts to recruit a third-party candidate are underway, but RNC Chairman Reince Priebus is now warning that this could have huge complications for the country's future.
It's a suicide mission for our country, because what it means is that you're throwing down not just 8 years of the White House, but potentially 100 years on the Supreme Court, and wrecking this country for many generations.
All right, here to weigh in, Adolfo Franco, former John McCain advisor, and Hadley Heath from the Independent Women's Forum. Adolfo, what do you think? Is Reince being dramatic there, or is it that serious?
Well, I think he's spot on. I think it's a double suicide mission, though. It's a suicide mission for the Republican Party if there is another candidate. Obviously, there's already another candidate, the Libertarian candidate, former Governor Gary Johnson, on the ticket. But, speculation about it being individuals such as Governor Kasich or as a third-party candidate, apart from the logistical and procedural and money and all the other tremendous obstacles, which I make it impossible, it would only take votes from the likely Trump supporters or others that would be against Hillary Clinton. And, of course, in the past, we've seen it with Ross Perot. We've seen it with other candidates, such as Ralph Nader in 2000 with Al Gore. It would tilt the election for sure to Hillary Clinton.
Hadley, sometimes I have a hard time believing these stories. You know, they're talking about Mitt Romney going out and doing this. Do you believe that this is a serious attempt?
It's believable to me that there are some powerful forces on the right side of politics who are so disaffected and so turned off by the two front runners, Clinton and Trump, today, that they might be tempted by the idea of running a third-party candidate. But I would say, really, the solution to this lies with one person, and that person is Donald Trump himself. He can be a unifier, and he can be open-minded. He's demonstrated he can be flexible about his policy positions. There are conservatives and establishment Republicans who have a lot to learn from the Trump phenomenon, but by the same token, Trump supporters and Donald Trump himself ought to listen to the concerns of these conservative voters as well.
Adolfo, call me cynical. I feel like this is a story that very much benefits Donald Trump. It shows people within the establishment out there refusing to accept him, and it allows the narrative to continue that he's this outside candidate, which has benefited him so much. Doesn't this, if people are really doing this, aren't they just helping him?
Oh, they are helping him because it's perceived, I think probably correctly, as we just don't want to accept the will of the voters and the will of the majority of the Republican Party and deny him either the presidency or in fact, de facto, the nomination by putting up another candidate that's a conventional candidate. But the fact of the matter is there is a lot of concern in the Republican Party among conservatives because there has been too much flexibility on these issues. He's been everything to everyone at different times in his life, and even during the course of the campaign. So the trepidation is not that his inflexibility, it's the fact that we're not sure what the bottom line proposals and policies would be. And that's why this continues to be discussed and fueled in terms of a possible alternative.
Hadley, every time these stories crop up, Mitt Romney is always at the top of it. They said this was May 5th, that he was talking to the Weekly Standard's Bill Kristol about, his influence and maybe doing something. Do you think that this is really a lot of this driven by Mitt Romney, or is he someone who he's kind of already lost, so you're like, well, he's not going to run again. You might as well put him out as the front person on this, because if it's a suicide mission, I don't know. He doesn't have a lot of political future himself anyway.
Well, there are several prominent Republicans who would be classified in that so-called never Trump camp. And one of the problems facing the Republican Party right now is that they have been the out party for almost 8 years. When you are the out party, you don't have a spokesperson who really speaks for the entire party. And so you look at the last presidential candidate for the voice of the party in some respects.
Okay. Thanks to both of you. Appreciate your time. Certainly it's been an interesting one to watch.
Thank you.
That's for sure.